I don't know what to compare it to. I don't think there's anything you really can. It takes like a week or two to recover from it. Usually don't do more than like three a year, just because it really it fucks up your body pretty badly, and you kind of just have to like, you take like a week off training before to like get your body fresh, then you do the decathlon, and you have to take like another week or two off. So it's like a 3 week thing every time you do one, basically.
How come it has such a big effect on you? Is it just because you're going that hard that many times, or is it the changing nature of the events that
Um, so it's just like a lot mentally draining and physically as well. I mean, doing 10 different events and it's crazy. Like in Paris, it's gonna be I'll be there from like 6 a.m. to 12 like midnight the next night, and then we start again at 6 the next day.
by which event do you usually start feeling tired?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably like the high jump, I would say, which is the fourth event.
Oh, that quick, huh?
Yeah, it hits you pretty quick because it's more just like by the time you get to high jump, you've been like on your feet standing around for like 6 hours.
Hardest event, easiest event.
The hardest event for me has been the
Event you would take out, event you would add in.
definitely would take out the 1500. It's a 1500, just not fun at all. I think I'd add in the 400 hurdles. I've just always wanted to do the 400-meter hurdles. I think they look pretty fun, and I feel like I'd be pretty good at it.
Does anybody like the 1500?
No, nobody likes the 1500. Yeah, it's terrible, man. Like if it was just a normal 1500, it would be fine, but like a 1500 when like you can barely stand and like you're exhausted, just like it's terrible.
But they knew what they were doing. They organized it like that, right? It's not like, oh,
But I think that's what's good about it. Like it's kind of like the final test to like see who like really deserves to be the winner. Like who can lock in that moment and just because everybody feels the same. So that's why it just kind of turns into like who's a dog.
so did you start out like, I want to be in a decathlon? Or was this something that kind of happened?
Yeah, it was kind of something that happened. I didn't start track until my sophomore year of high school, and then I started off by doing the short and long hurdles, and then high jump, long jump. Um, and then I was pretty good at all those events. So then college coaches kind of started recruiting me just based off the fact that I was like ranked as one of the top people in the state in like multiple events. And I played a lot of different sports and stuff in high school as well. So they just saw the athleticism, and then they all thought I'd be a good fit for the decathlon.
When we kind of compare it, so you're doing this in the 100 or the 200, like how far off are Olympic decathletes from world records, from like the people who are specifically competing in just that sport?
Yeah, pretty far off. Like even my best events are still pretty far off. People that only do like the high jump or only do the javelin, like it's pretty significant. But like what's crazy about the decathlon is like we're like not world class, but like really really good at like you have to be good at everything. You can't be bad at anything. And I think that's what makes it so special.
Would you say that like in each individual event, you could be a really good college athlete in just that event?
To put it into perspective, like to score at the Big Ten championship, you have to be in the top eight. And a lot of schools in the Big Ten go like if you score at Big Tens, like you should be on a scholarship through that one event. I scored in 6 different events, so I guess that kind of puts it into perspective.
Could you have qualified or be up at the kind of the top in the world in just one event if you focused solely on that?
I think it's hard to say. I don't think I would ever want to do that, but I mean, if I had been doing it for the past 5 years, then potentially maybe. But yeah, I feel like that's just something that's kind of hard to determine.
How do you train for 10 events? Like, are you just all day long every single day?
Yeah, we train like 3, 4 hours a day, but we kind of just split everything up throughout the week. Like we usually throw on Wednesdays, we'll do like speed, plyometric, lift Monday, and then Tuesday's usually like a jump and a tempo workout, and then Thursday we'll jump again and do another lift, and then Friday we'll come back and do like speed endurance, block works, approaches, and like a lift. So it's just like spread out. You kind of just hit what you need to hit, but we try to touch like at least something in each event every single week.
Are all of the events kind of complementary to each other? And like, okay, if you're training the 100, you're kind of training the 200. Or do some of them directly contradictory, where if you try to get too good at this, it's going to hurt your performance in the other event?
Yeah, a little bit. So all the events, like if you get stronger, faster, more explosive, then you're gonna get better at every single event. So that's like the main theme of our training, I would say. We're just always trying to get faster, stronger, more explosive. That's gonna help with all 10 events. Um, there's some events where it's like there's really no point in like trying to get way better at, like for example the 1500. Um, like if you just train distance, it's just gonna fuck up or mess up all your speed, endurance stuff, and it's like the benefit is way lower than the cost on your training schedule. Um, but the way that we train, we try to kind of do things in the order of events sometimes. So I'll do like a hurdle session, then throw discus after, which is like the same order as in the decathlon. Or sometimes we'll do like a discus session, then throw pole vault after, like stuff like that.
Do you train the 1500? Like, will you actively train the 1500, or is that just when that comes, like, I'm just going to go for this and see what happens?
I'll do like a tempo workout every like 2 weeks. So like we do like endurance stuff, but like I'm not training for the 1500 more than like once a week or once every 2 weeks. Pole vault, definitely, just because it's. I mean, you get to the seventh event and you're exhausted, and you have to jump on these like 16-foot stiff poles at full speed. So just doing that, like when you're super tired, and super technical, it's a lot, and you have to like really lock back in and find some energy for that event.
What event requires the most training? What event requires the least training for you?
Most training, I would probably say the 400. You got to do a lot of speed endurance training, like if you want to be good at the 400. So you have to do a lot of like really hard running workouts where you're sprinting at full speed and like hitting lactic acid. And then least amount of training for me, it's the javelin, just because it kind of comes naturally to me. I grew up as a baseball pitcher, so I've always had like a really good arm. So really, the only thing I have to work on for that is my approach. I don't really throw full speed with the javelin in practice often. So yeah, I would say that's what it is for me.
Got a lighter one for you. How many different pairs of shoes do you have to bring to the track?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have 8 different pairs of spikes that I bring. I wear a different pair of shoes for every single event, other than the sprinting events. I wear the same sprint spikes for those. Um, and then I have trainers, flip flops. So yeah, it's probably like upwards of 10.
I would imagine that you can spot like the decathletes. Like, oh, those are the decathletes because they're carrying the most stuff.
Yeah, we have suitcases full of shoes, and you got to bring like snacks, extra shirts, and like things to change into throughout the day.